friends. In Indian economy, in Unit 3, up till now we have discussed about the public sector. We talked about the role it plays and the objectives it tries to meet. We also talked about the problems it faces. We talked about the private sector. We took up some examples as well, and we understood what role does private sector play as far as Indian economy is concerned. And we also talked about the limitations of private sector in India and the problems that the private sector has to face. Now today we are going to discuss cooperatives. You have heard of so many cooperative societies. So let us today understand what we mean by cooperatives. Cooperatives basically, as you can see in this particular picture, it's a voluntary association of persons. Voluntary means nobody is forcing these people to come together and form a cooperative. They come together and form a cooperative out of their own volition, according to their own will. So that is what we mean by voluntary, right? Please also understand that the word cooperative basically has been formed from the same root word from which you have the word cooperation. So basically cooperatives are all about cooperation, helping each other. And so basically this is a voluntary association of people who come together. It could be males, females. So they come together and do something which is of mutual benefit to all the individuals in the cooperative. Now please understand, all these cooperatives which are formed by people coming together, they are jointly owned by these people, and these people are known as the members. So for example, in this particular cooperative, for example, these 5 people have come together. I'm just trying to give you an example, and they would be known as the members, and this is a voluntary association of these people coming together. So the cooperative would be said to be owned by these people, and the functioning would be democratic. Now what do we mean by democratic functioning? All the decisions which have to be made, they would not be made by a particular individual or maybe 1 or 2 people deciding for the whole group, for the cooperative. It would be a case wherein all the people would come together and then they decide what is to be done, and in a democratic fashion. What do we mean by this? So for example, if there is a contentious issue, what is to be done would be decided based on what the majority of the members in the cooperative think and feel. So this is what we mean by democratic functioning. But however, many a times what happens, there are some decisions which have to be taken on a routine basis. So it is not practical to ask all the members to come in and give their opinion as to what is to be done. So many a times what happens, for such routine decisions, these cooperatives elect a president or a secretary or a treasurer from among themselves and delegate their decision making authority in such cases to these people. So the whole cooperative is not deciding now, all the members are not coming up, the calls are being made by these people who have been elected as the president or maybe the vice president or the secretary of the cooperative or the treasurer of the cooperative. So many a times in case of cooperatives with large number of people, large number of members, this is how decision making is done for routine kind of decisions. But yes, if a decision is strategically very, very important, a very, very crucial one, then it is for all the members to come up and decide. Then please understand, the members in the cooperative, they have a common economic goal, and by forming the cooperative they are able to ensure that these economic goals are met, these economic goals are achieved. And cooperatives basically are a tool to solve the problem in a collective fashion. So this is what basically cooperative is. People come together and whenever there's a problem, they all chip in, they all provide their inputs, they all make efforts to solve that particular problem. Now what do we mean by the problem here? For example, let's say in a particular district in Pithoragarh, in Uttarakhand, for example in Pithoragarh, there are some farmers which grow apples, but they are not able to get good price for their produce in the market. Why? Because all the farmers are going individually to the market and trying to outcompete each other and offering low prices to the customers. So naturally they would not be able to earn a lot from their produce. But what if they come together and they form a cooperative? Now they are forming a cooperative so that they can bargain for a higher price from their customers. Their customers could be those small scale industries who are producing jams from these apples. So they can now bargain with these kind of customers. Now, why? Because now they are not in the market as individual farmers trying to outcompete each other. They are there as a group. So they would be selling their product as one single lot to the customer, and they would be able to bargain for a higher price from the customer, and they would not be exploited by the customer also. Fine. And this would help them earn higher price for their produce, which means every single member would benefit and every single member would be able to earn more. So in that sense, the common economic goals would also be met. And in case in a particular year, let's say they require some funds so that they can expand the cultivation of the apple crop, then what will they do? This would be one problem that they might face. So they might club in their savings and use those savings to invest in expanding the cultivation of the apple crop. So this is how cooperatives tend to function. Fine. In this particular case which I have taken up, the example that I have taken up for you, this can be called a farmers cooperative. Now let us talk about cooperative sector in India, and you find different types of cooperatives in different parts of the country. For example, there are agricultural cooperatives. The example that I took just now of apple farmers coming up together and forming one single entity, one single cooperative. This is basically an example of an agricultural cooperative wherein farmers come together. Many a times they come together so that they can sell their produce at a higher price. They can get a higher price from their customer. They can bargain for a higher price from the customer, just like the example that I took up a little while ago. Or many a times they also come up. Agricultural cooperatives are also formed so that they can bargain for a lower price from the supplier of agricultural input. So for example, farmers coming up together, forming a cooperative so that they can buy the seeds from a company which is selling seeds at a lower price. Why? Because now they will form one large group because they have come together as a cooperative, and they will be able to ask for a bulk discount. That quantity requirements would be higher, the demand would be higher, and the supplier would be forced to give a bulk discount. The supplier would be forced to give a discount because this cooperative now is purchasing in bulk, in huge quantities. So these could be buyer cooperatives. We have taken up some examples. We have got cooperative sugar mills in Maharashtra. So people have come up together and formed a cooperative to set up sugar mills. So this is an example. And then we have farmer cooperatives, just like the example that I took up a little while ago. Not only for fruits and vegetables, but for other commodities also there could be some farmer cooperatives. Many a times these farmer cooperatives are formed so that the farmers can expect to get a better price for their produce from the customers. Fine. Then we have got dairy cooperatives also. Dairy, I hope you understand dairy products, milk and related products. And one famous example is Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation, which you know by the brand name Amul. So this is nothing but Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation, where so many villages, so many districts, and within those districts so many blocks, within those blocks so many villages, and within those villages so many dairy farming families have come together to form this cooperative, and then they get the milk from their cows, and then this milk is collected by the Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation, then the processing and the packaging is done, and under the Amul brand name this is sold in the market. And this way these dairy farming families, dairy farmers, are able to earn more for the milk that they are getting from their cows or buffaloes. So this is an example of dairy cooperative. Another example could be Aanchal, which is basically working in different districts in Uttarakhand, and this is nothing but an example of a dairy cooperative. Then we have got banking cooperatives also, wherein people pool up their resources. For example, as in the case of Pithoragarh Champawat Urban Cooperative Bank, people pool in their resources. Now this money which is collected from the various members of the cooperative, now this is then passed on to some member who might require some loans. So the money would be collected by the members of the cooperative. Let's say, I am giving you an example. Let's say there are 10 people in a cooperative, and I am giving you just a hypothetical example just to make things easier for you to understand. And let us say all of them, they decide that every month they will pool, they will contribute rupees 10 each. So there are about 10 members and everybody is contributing 10 each. So the amount that gets collected would be rupees 100. Now this rupees 100 which has been collected can be used to provide a loan to one member who might be requiring rupees 30 because he has to buy a cow or maybe buy a buffalo, or maybe because he has to invest in buying seeds. So this way these kind of cooperatives work, and slowly and gradually, if the work expands further, they can develop into big banking cooperatives, just like is the case with Pithoragarh Champawat Urban Cooperative Bank. Then we have buyer cooperatives. Now what do we mean by buyer cooperatives? Buyer cooperatives basically pool in their purchases. Pool in means, for example, again let us say there are 5 families. Again a very simplistic example to make you understand things. And every family requires, let's say, 10 kilogram of wheat every month. So rather than going to the market and purchasing individually, what will they do? They will say, okay, fine. Every family requires 10 kilogram, means we need to purchase, if all 5 families come together, we need to purchase 50 kilogram of wheat. Now they would club in their purchases, which means now the cooperative will have to purchase 50 kilogram of wheat. And since the cooperative is now purchasing in bulk, the cooperative can ask the supplier to provide quantity discounts or the bulk discounts, and the cooperative can then be able to get the supply of wheat at a much lesser price than would have been possible if the members had bought individually, right? So all the families have come together, they have pooled in their purchase, so now 50 kilogram is being purchased, and since it's a big quantity, the cooperative can ask for discount, and this way whatever the saving is, it would be passed on to the members in the buyer cooperative. So this way buyer cooperatives can be formed. For example, teachers and students in Degree College Pithoragarh can also form a buyer cooperative. So we would pool in our purchase of whatever we purchase in a particular month. It could be things like wheat or rice, it could be things like sugar, it could be FMCG products, and we will pool in our purchase, and then we will purchase as one single unit as a cooperative. And since it would be a very large quantity, we would be able to charge, we would be able to ask for, we would be able to demand a bulk discount, and once we get that bulk discount, the saving because of that discount would be passed on to every single member of this particular cooperative. And so in that sense, every member will be able to purchase the goods that he or she required at a much lesser price. So this is the advantage of a buyer cooperative. And then we have got credit cooperatives also. I have taken up this example a little while ago. 10 people coming together, let's say they pool, they contribute rupees 10 each. So the total amount which is collected with the credit cooperative is 100. Now if some member requires, let's say, rupees 30 or rupees 40, he can be provided funding from this particular amount which has been collected by the cooperative. So such credit cooperative societies also exist here in India, and also exist here in Pithoragarh as well as in Uttarakhand. Fine. So these are the different types of cooperative sectors here in India. In the next session that we'll have, we'll talk about the role of the cooperative sector.